All right, everybody. Welcome to this week's NFL podcast. I am your host, Connor Grohl, as always, flying solo today and on a very rainy Friday morning in Houston. Love the city of Houston. Might be a little allergic to it. It feels like every time I come back, the allergies start to get worked up a little bit. But we're going to try to make it through Power Hour today. Probably not a full hour. Probably going a little shorter today. Trying to test some new things. Trying to test a lot of new things with my content on Medium and here on the podcast coming up in the future. Last night, Giants and the Patriots. Excited as always to see my Giants play, but not the highest of hopes going into the game. Obviously, 16.5 to 17-point underdogs officially, and on the road in New England. New England's been crushing people, 5-0. Best defense in the league by far. Offense has been pretty good. Maybe not peak performance, but as long as you got Brady back there, and as it was shown in the Giants game, feels like he's got all day to throw. They'll be fine, and obviously still the NFL Super Bowl favorites at this point in time. So really wasn't looking forward to the result of this game. The Giants entered really beat up. No Saquon Barkley, the number one running back, obviously. Could have came back for this game, but I'm happy that he didn't come back. This was a game that we didn't really expect to win. We didn't expect to have much of a chance in. So, and of course, it's an early game, the Thursday nighter. So why not give him the extra 10 days to come back for Week 7? It only makes sense. So down Saquon Barkley, down Wayne Gallman, the second running back on the list, who's a good backup. He's had some starting time prior. He is out with a concussion. Also out with a concussion, Sterling Shepard, arguably our number one wide receiver, either him or Golden Tate, but at least Shepard had played in the first 4 games. Or, at least some of them. It's his second concussion of the year, so he's already missed time, which is not great. But at least he probably has a little bit more of a rapport with Daniel Jones than Golden Tate. He was out. Also out, Evan Ingram, our top tight end and leading overall receiver. So our number one running back, our number one wide receiver, our number one tight end, all out. Number 2 running back also out. Our running backs, all we have, coming into this game is Hilleman, who is an undrafted rookie out of Rutgers. Anytime you're starting any football player that came out of Rutgers, not necessarily the best sign. And Eli Penny, our fullback. That's all we had in the backfield. So, obviously going to be very, very restrained. Things obviously weren't looking good for us ahead of time. But I was pleasantly surprised by the way the Giants played in this game, keeping it close for most of the way, especially early. Got a big 4th down stop on the Patriots' first drive, and from that point on, the game kind of settled into a bit of a lull for a while. Giants' offense wasn't going to get anything going ever, unfortunately. Again, the Patriots too strong, but we were doing a good job. Even Daniel Jones throws a pick in the first quarter, and he ends up throwing 3 picks in this game. But when, he throws a pick, at the very next play, we get Brady back, Janoris Jenkins with a big pick. Janoris Jenkins, that's at least 3 picks for him this season. Having, somewhat of a bounce-back year. I don't think he's been, Pro Bowl talent or anything. He's still looked shaky, had a very crucial penalty called on a 4th down, just held the guy for about 5 seconds straight later in the game. But at least being able to make some big plays here and there for the team. Liked what I saw from him for the most part in this game. The Patriots, even when their offense isn't firing at all cylinders, their defense is, and a big differentiating factor in this game and their game last week against the Bills, or I guess 2 weeks ago against the Bills rather, is the special teams. And they had a blocked punt for a touchdown against the Bills. Do the same thing against the Giants. That's the first points on the board. Late in the first quarter, they block a punt, return it for a touchdown. and those are just kind of the demoralizing moments. If you're the humongous underdog team, but from the early goings on, it looks like you have at least a chance. At least even if your offense isn't doing anything, you're stopping them. You're taking some time off the clock. Hoping that you can still fight in this game, but special teams miscues are always so very difficult to get over. Because you kind of take it for granted that you kind of expect both teams are going to draw even on the special teams. However, that's not the case. Giants go down 7-0, end up going down 14-0 after another Daniel Jones pick gives Tom Brady and the Patriots very, very good field position starting at the Giants' 20-yard line. However, the Giants were fighting in this game, and they find a way to scrap this up, and very quickly, in only a couple of minutes, it's 14-14. Daniel Jones completes to Golden Tate for a 64-yard touchdown pass. Ball gets bobbled a few times, thought he would drop it, but he ends up making the good catch. Defender falls on the ground, trying to tip it, maybe pick it off, and Golden Tate takes that one to the house. And on the very next drive, we get a sack on Tom Brady. It's a miracle the Giants got any pressure on Tom Brady in this game. It feels like he had 10 seconds every time he dropped back to pass, but they were able to generate some pressure, get a nice forced fumble, picked up by Marcus Golden, and Marcus Golden ends up taking it to the house. And, he almost got tackled on about the 2-yard line. Grant Haley was about to run him over right when he picked up the ball. Grant Haley was ready to start the blocks out in front, and he almost bulldozed him from behind. But once they sorted it out, Golden takes it. He almost gets tackled at about the 2-yard line. Two guys trying to bring him down. Josh Gordon ends up getting hurt on this play, trying to make the touchdown-saving tackle. But Golden ends up with a big man stretch, going completely horizontal in the air, and ends up getting it just barely across that goal line. So feel good for him. Always good to see a defensive player score a touchdown, because they know every time they pick up the ball and they got a chance, that might be their only chance for the season. So good for him. Patriots get one more before the end of the half, 21-14. But, Giants still fighting. Still doing their thing. But again, another Daniel Jones interception start off the third quarter. He gets lucky on this 60-yard pass to Golden Tate. But outside of that, only 100 yards. He goes for 161, a touchdown, and 3 picks. It was a poor performance from Daniel Jones, if I'm being perfectly honest. He was able to fit a couple balls in some tight spots, but a couple, head-scratching interceptions. Maybe this is just him trying to model Eli still. Whatever. He had the great game against the Bucs. And the thing is with rookie quarterbacks, and this is something I'm going to talk a little bit more about in a minute, about Baker Mayfield, who is not a rookie quarterback, but I think it's the same kind of concept goes of, it's just going to take these guys a little bit of time. And maybe some guys come in and, they're not very turnover prone, but for the majority of young quarterbacks, they're going to make some mistakes. They're going to throw some interceptions. I still like overall what I see from Daniel Jones, but he's not a messiah or anything. The goal is just over the next couple years he develops into a solid starting quarterback in the league, which I think he has a very good chance to do. And of course, it's difficult to make judgments about anyone's play when they're going up against the Patriots defense. But he did struggle for the most part in this game. A couple chances in the second half, and just couldn't get the job done. I also was not a big fan of the play calling and just kind of the mindset from the Giants in this game. A couple fourth downs where I really thought they should have went for it, and making really inexplicable decisions to punt. Pat Shurmur, I think, deserves a lot of criticism for this. And yeah, maybe some of the flags didn't go our way. Definitely think we should have got a fumble recovery that was called an incomplete pass. Definitely think we should have gotten a pass interference when we throw the red flag with a couple minutes left in the game. But we're punting with 7 minutes left, down 14 on what was it, like a 4th and 2 or something. And I know we're in our own territory, but it's just from a mathematical standpoint, if you're punting the ball away in these situations, you're not giving yourself basically any chance to win the game. So I found that very frustrating. I also found, Hilliman's fumble, which, the Patriots returned for a touchdown, and that one at 28-14 really puts the game away, it feels like. Going down. Anytime you give up, yes, I know we had a touchdown coming from our defense, but if you give up, a defensive touchdown and a special teams touchdown, already playing the best team in the league, you're not going to have much of a chance. And the Giants look good, keeping this game to 14-14 at one point, and 21-14, we had the ball entering the fourth quarter. Looked like we might have had a chance, but, wasn't meant to be. 35-14, the final score here. Giants do not cover the 17 points. But moving on, I think overall, and yes, the Patriots go for over 400 yards of total offense. So even if you want to find bright spots, it's, Brady didn't play great, but he still played, more than well enough. Plenty of times in the coverage, guys are just wide open, which has kind of been a running theme for the Giants' pass defense this year. It's been really poor. But for us to have, basically no weapons on offense, still find a way to keep this game close. The Patriots, obviously broke it away later on, but for the most part had Brady in check. Got him to force 2 turnovers, even if we had 4 ourselves. We were fighting in this game, and it's not a game anyone thought we had any chance in. And really, even when it was 14-14, it didn't look like we had, a ton of a chance because we didn't really prove our abilities to sustain any kind of momentum on offense. Just looking through our drives now, but if you take apart the touchdown drive, which really basically just comes on one 60-yard, I'm not going to say fluky, but non-easily replicable play for sure. Our longest drive, 48 yards, ends in a pick. After that, 27 yards. So really not being able to sustain any positive momentum. But that's sometimes that's just what happens when you go into New England. So Giants fall to 2-4. Should get Saquon Barkley back. Should get Shepard and Ingram back. Should be fully good to go against the Cardinals. Get that game at home in Week 7, 10 games away. And that'll be a big game for the Giants. If they lose that one, basically season over. But as long as we can keep giving ourselves a shot, get to 3-4, out of our next 3 games, Lions, Cowboys, and Jets, probably take one of those, hopefully 2, but, get to 4-6. And all you want to do is give yourself a chance to be able to go on a run late and still put yourself in position. And they'll have opportunities to do that. Still got a game late against the Dolphins and the Redskins. I'm not thinking playoffs, obviously. I think it's pretty set for me that the Giants are going to finish this season with about 6 or 7 wins. But just to keep, positive momentum going, just to feel like a competitive team week in and week out, I think that's important. It gives you something to, it gives you some confidence and some motivation and something that you can turn into more positive results kind of moving forward later in this year and in next year. And I think really after just poor last couple of seasons where the Giants had no chance, practically from week 1 of doing anything, I think it's just important for these guys to kind of keep pace, keep themselves around 500, and see themselves as a team that's playing for something rather than starting 2-9 and then just the rest of the weeks it's like, whatever. At least try to keep yourselves fighting for something. So that's kind of my take from that Giants-Patriots game. It's, again, for being so outmanned, I think they did a solid job. Wasn't fantastic by any means, but, gave us, some hope at some points, some, never count out the Giants against the Patriots kind of stuff. Felt good just to see the Giants playing a somewhat competitive game against the Patriots. Patriots still looking like the favorites for the entire league moving forward. No real reason to believe that they won't be. Again, just because more than the offense, and even with the offensive line looks good. Brady's got the weapons. He's been a little on and off, and he didn't really look great last night, but he still had one point where he goes for like 12 consecutive, 12, 13 consecutive completions and marched them down the field. Edelman looking like a beast, as always. But, beyond that, it's just so impressive to see just the rotating, characters on this Patriots offense. Jacoby Myers, Ryan Izzo, Gunnar, Olszewski. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but just guys that no one's ever heard of, just being able to fill in, do their job. And then the Patriots defense and the special teams really carrying them. That Giants pass touchdown, Daniel Jones to Golden Tate, who, by the way, went over 100 yards in this game, so good for Golden Tate to get some momentum going for himself. I know he wasn't happy after the Week 5 game against the Vikings, but that was the first pass touchdown allowed by the the Patriots this season in 6 weeks. So if you think about the Patriots have one passing touchdown allowed, and they have 2 blocked punt touchdowns for their offense, for coming from their special teams. It's just pretty unbelievable what these guys have been able to do going back to the Super Bowl last season, just shutting people down, Pretty crazy stuff. So moving on from that, the Redskins fired head coach Jay Gruden on Monday. Feels like eons ago at this point in time. It just kind of proves to me that the Redskins are the poorest run organization in sports. They phone him up at 5 a.m., meet with him, and fire him the Monday after their game. Loss against the Patriots in Week 5. The Redskins 0-5. No one really expected them to be doing much better, but at the same time, I think the way they've kind of handled their situation has been pretty poor. The way they handled the Dwayne Haskins quarterback situation, they threw him in when he clearly wasn't ready. It's probably somewhat their fault for him not being ready in the first place. And then, coming into the Week 5 matchup, saying they have no plan for the quarterback position, acting like they don't really know what's going on with their own team. Starting Colt McCoy, that doesn't go well. It just feels like they have no idea what they're doing. And just, being really unprofessional, and at the same time, again, making a lot of play calling mistakes, and just being a complete and total mess in general. Even against poor teams, even against the Giants, they showed absolutely zero signs of life in that game. And, this has kind of just been the Jake Gruden experience for the Redskins over the past couple of years. Not a lot of hope, not a lot of great stuff moving forward. And that's just kind of how it's been. So they bring in the new interim head coach, Bill Callahan, his introductory press conference. Again, kind of a whirlwind, kind of a wild ride. He, notably kind of says, he gives off this idea that the Redskins are going to turn into a run-first team. That in itself isn't hugely surprising, considering they don't have too much in terms of other options. But he's, talks about if you run the ball more than your opponents, you're probably going to win the game. He's spouting all this kind of pseudoscience-y whatever. I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's going to be a good thing for Adrian Peterson. He'll probably get some more carries with this new kind of mindset. But ultimately, do I have any confidence in the Redskins organization at improving as an organization or their coaching staff in terms of, competency at this point? Not really. And I don't really think there's too much more I want to really say about the matter other than the Redskins are a total mess, and I think we all know that. Looking at some other stuff, a lot of problems maybe with the Cleveland Browns at the moment. Got completely shut out basically by the 49ers on that Monday night game last week. Again, the Browns have been, it feels like, on the right side or the wrong side of kind of blowout games in every week this season. They did beat the Ravens, which I guess is a good win, but for the most part, the Browns have kind of underperformed this season. Currently sitting at 2-3, which still puts them in decent shape in the AFC North, which is a train wreck of a division this season. But Baker Mayfield, again, going back to the Daniel Jones stuff, I think he's just been too overhyped in general, and and I'm not saying that because I think he's not a good player. I think he's very talented and he has an opportunity to be very good. I just think we expected too much from him too early, and maybe part of that's due to his arrogance, and part of that's due to how he kind of just revived the Browns last season. But this is still a guy, he started just over a season's worth of games in his career. He's a young guy. He's playing on a team. His offensive line has been pretty terrible. He's got so much high expectations for them to, people prematurely thought they were going to win the division and win the Super Bowl this season, which was kind of ridiculous. Still think they got a shot at a wild card, but, and heck, maybe even at the division. But I think the expectations for this team were way too high, kind of fueled by their pickup of OBJ and Baker Mayfield's encouraging performances last season. But ultimately, he's got all the commercials and he's doing all the photo shoots, and it just kind of feels like the legend with Baker Mayfield is there before the results are on the field, right? I think everyone wanted so badly for him to be the next great quarterback, and it's too early to tell, and he very well could be. But at this point in time, it's still a work in progress. They still got to figure some things out. And that should be expected. And has he performed well this season? No, he has not. He's been, he's taken a significant step back, it feels like, when compared to last season. However, we're still just 5 games into the season. Again, the 49ers were an undefeated team. Still are an undefeated team. That comes into play somewhat. Looking at Baker's line for the season so far. Starts all 5 games, 56% completions, about 1,250 yards, 4 touchdowns, 8 picks. So not good. Not what we're looking for at all. But again, it's tough to make any massive judgments about his quality as a quarterback or his quality as a player in general. This is kind of the point where we're going to see a lot of, maybe infighting. OBJ is not happy because OBJ is never happy. And, it kind of feels like from his perspective, he just left the Giants and he moves to another team that operates exactly like the Giants do. High hopes on a quarterback. Offense should be good in theory. No offensive line. Defense isn't great either. He's struggling. So I'm sure he's wondering what the heck he's doing, and now instead of being able to do it in New York, he's doing it in Cleveland. Again, still high hopes for this team. I think they can still turn it around, but I think that the expectations for them starting the season in general were too high, and I think that's really the cause of all this talk about the Browns at the moment, because I think 2-3, just if you're going to blanket and just say 5 weeks into the season the Browns are 2-3, I think I say yeah, they're 2-3. That makes sense. I think it's just more or less the expectations for this team of doing, these great things without any proof to show it. 2 years ago they didn't win a single game, and all of a sudden we think they're going to win the Super Bowl, and that kind of was probably a flaw in just the general perception of this team to begin with. So Baker Mayfield has been very poor, I think, so far this season. But I don't think this says anything about his future potential as a quarterback or anything like that. Looking at some of last week's matchups as well, had that big Seahawks game, edging it out against the Rams on Thursday Night Football after Legatron misses the game-winning kick. I don't even know if people still call him Legatron, but I think that's one of the great nicknames in the NFL. 30-29 there for the Seahawks. And we're really seeing a new level even of Russell Wilson just taking over for his team. In that game he goes 17-23, 268, 4 touchdowns. But just in general throughout the entire season, Russell Wilson has been incredible. Just straight balling out, 12 touchdowns, no picks. Just doing Russell Wilson things, right? And is this his best opportunity to win the MVP? I think it might be. This might be the Russell Wilson MVP season. He's got the Seahawks at 4-1. It's a heck of a division to be playing in. Undefeated Niners, got the Rams. The Rams are in third place, by the way. And the Rams playing the 49ers this week. If the Rams drop to 3-3, suddenly they're 2.5 games behind San Francisco. And they're behind Seattle, and they don't have the tiebreaker. And all of a sudden, it gets very, very stressful if you're a Rams fan. And if you're a member of that team, dropping to 3-3, that would be their third loss in a row. But, with the Seahawks, with Russell Wilson, it's crazy that your quarterback is so good and you're still such a quote-unquote like run-focused team. They run the ball more than most teams in the league. This ridiculous stat that I got from Mina Kimes, according to Football Outsiders, Seattle Seahawks currently the most efficient passing offense in the NFL. However, they rank just 28th in pass play percentage, which makes very little sense. There is not shown to be any correlation between if you run the ball, if you pass the ball less, teams aren't expecting it, so it allows you to be more efficient. That's kind of pseudoscience. Seattle should be throwing the ball far more than they do, but it feels like they just need Russell Wilson to bail them out in so many situations. Yet he's so talented that he's able to do it, and he's still able to carry this team by himself, even when they're trying to give him the ball as little as possible, which doesn't even make sense if you're one of the best players in the league. So Seattle, the game plan, not the best. However, they're getting lucky and they're winning. Not luck. I mean, it's Russell Wilson, but they're certainly trying to make it more difficult for him. It feels like, and certainly I think he's in this MVP race, and I think it's opened up because of how poor the Chiefs have looked over the last couple weeks, especially last week against the Colts. That offense got really shut down, basically, for the first time in years. And I really mean that when I say years. They had a 25-game streak. This is an NFL record. 25-game streak of scoring at least 25 points, I believe, in every game. Maybe it's 20, but I believe it's 25 points. And against the Colts, they lose 19-13. And of course, Mahomes is still chucking over 300 yards even when they lose. But his completion percentage was very poor. He only threw one touchdown. He had no touchdowns the week before, and before that, he had a streak of 18 games or something with multiple touchdowns in every game. The Chiefs' defense, we know, is not the best. Marlon Mack able to run over him in that performance, and the rushing attack not there for the Chiefs. Just in terms of pure rushing, they get outgained 180-36 in this performance. Mahomes been rushed a lot, sacked 4 times in this game. And I don't know, it just looks like a different team over the last couple weeks. And maybe we credit this to the Colts, but also, Kansas City maybe. And then still 4-1. I mean, no cause for concern. I'm sure they'll come back and they'll blow people out of the water over the next few weeks, and all of a sudden the Chiefs will be back. That being said, they have a difficult schedule. Texans and the Packers coming up in their next 3 games. But, not this infallible wizard Patrick Mahomes that I think we're used to talking about. And I think just kind of this presumed MVP before the season started until anything shows us otherwise. And maybe we are starting to see the first bits of otherwise. Because it just feels like this team maybe not as strong over the last couple weeks. And that kind of opening things up, which is interesting. And the fact that the Patriots offense doesn't look, as fantastic as usual makes things a little interesting. Maybe these two teams won't run away with it. I think they're still pretty clearly the best 2 teams in the AFC. But maybe they won't entirely run away with things and make it a little interesting, which would be fun for all of us. Other kind of minor news stories. Robert Kraft says Rob Gronkowski, who is now signed to be an analyst with Fox, has not officially retired yet. And he's hoping and praying that, all he can do is hope and pray, or pray and hope that Gronkowski will come back, which I think is kind of a ridiculous statement. They don't need Gronk, and Gronk suffered more than enough concussions. He says he's probably had a dozen concussions in his career, and I think it's kind of irresponsible for Kraft to even expect Gronk to return, but whatever, that's what the Patriots do. And then looking forward to some of these matchups coming up in Week 6. A few of the more interesting ones to me, obviously that Texans-Chiefs matchup. We finally saw Deshaun Watson get unleashed in Week 5. 5 touchdowns, 400 yards, only a couple incompletions. Made the Falcons look like the worst defense in the league. Chiefs home in this game, favored by 4.5. And this Mahomes-Deshaun Watson matchup, it's the quarterbacks of the future in the AFC. I think Baker Mayfield, maybe he'll get there at some point, but clearly not at this level yet. So that should be a very fun matchup. Another fun matchup for me, the Redskins and the Dolphins. The two worst teams in the league by a country mile, and the Dolphins are at home, and maybe this is a game the Dolphins win. Very well could be, the Redskins with a new head coach, and certainly don't look like they have any momentum behind them. The Dolphins off a bye, maybe they've made some changes, maybe they're more rested, maybe they can pull some rabbits out of hats and win this game. Washington is still favored by 3.5 on the road, which tells you how bad people think the Dolphins are. But my official picks are not out yet, but I might just take the Dolphins to win this game, which is something I never thought I would say. Eagles-Vikings should be a very interesting matchup. 49ers-Rams should be a very interesting matchup. Lions-Packers on Monday night should be a very interesting matchup. I think I just listed 5. Those would be my top 5 games of the week to watch. The Bills, Bears, Colts, and Raiders all on bye this time around. As we get deeper into the season, we're going to start to see more of these teams go on byes. So very excited to look at these Week 6 games. Should be fun on Sunday. A little bit of a shorter show coming in, clocking at like 32, 33 minutes. Let me know what you think of that. Again, trying to experiment with a lot of different stuff, trying to provide the best and more unique content that I can produce. But we'll have a guest on the show next week. Excited about it and excited to watch all the games on Sunday. Thanks for tuning in to the show as always. I've been Connor Grohl. See you next week. Enjoy your weekend. And we'll be right back next week as always.